Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. We actually had a very French beginning to our chat talking about the weather, which is
Yeah.
always what French people do. If there's
Let
a
me
an
just
ounce of complaining with it, that works well too.
I can always find a reason to complain about the heat.
Is that why
I
you
th
love France?
I thought I was a heat person. Living in Minnesota, did not want winters. I was over it. I just wanted sunshine all the time, and it turns out I'm not a sunshine all the time type of guy either. I'm a spring and fall type of guy.
Yeah,
That
I
is what
think
I've
most of
learned.
us are actually. But aren't we all also like a little bit of the grass is greener?
That's
Um,
true. Mhm. Every
and
time I think, "Would I leave Carcassonne?" I think, "For what? There'll be a problem somewhere else." It's
especially
hot
now.
and it's hot all over France, so I can't escape the heat.
Yeah, I mean Denmark maybe.
Yeah.
No,
Mhm.
we were looking actually, 'cause I guess we all have these conversations when we're, like, overheating. We were looking at the Alps,
Oh,
uh,
yeah.
and last week anyway in the Alps was okay. And I actually met an American last week who was living in South Carolina, and he told me, like, he's next to a mountain or something, and he's actually okay, and he doesn't have air conditioning. He was
I
like, "I have a
can't.
big fan up in the attic," and I was like, "You're sure you're American?" But the accent was sure.
I told Yuri when we moved here, I was like, "I maybe we don't need air conditioning. Maybe we can live like the French do, and it'll be fine. We have a big stone apartment." And he's like, "No, we're having air conditioning." Well,
Good call.
thankfully, we got air conditioning.
Very good call.
So, yeah.
Do you wanna start just
Yeah,
gently?
let's just how do we wanna start?
Should we maybe super briefly introduce each other for anyone who I
Yeah.
think probably most people know both of us, but,
Yeah, there's probably a bunch of overlap between our audiences. You can go first, ladies first.
thank you. So my name is Pamela. I've been living in Paris for the past 14 years now. Originally born in Honolulu and traveled a bunch between France and the US since I was little because my mom is European and my dad was American. And so I'm both as well.
So lucky. My name is Rich. I go by the Simple Sudiste on Substack, and my husband and my now 6-year-old daughter moved to Carcassonne, which is in the south, just an hour south of Toulouse, 2 years ago, and we're just living our lives. We're early retirees, and I mean we're plenty busy taking care of a 6-year-old, and yeah, that's it. Just living our lives, really. Trying to raise her to be, uh, well, we'll get into this, but when we moved over here, I thought, we're Americans living in France, and I now realize we're really not raising an American girl, we're raising a French girl. And by all accounts, she is American, and I think our American friends would be like, "You're all American," but she's really not. She doesn't know America other outside of the stories that we tell her. So, um, but yeah, we can talk more about that during our conversation.
Cool. I think it's so interesting that you guys moved here as adults and it must be so scary. I can't imagine.
It's different. I mean, it's different. I was very passionate about it. Yuri was not. For when we had the conversation about moving abroad, he was very much like, "We're not moving to France. It's not happening. Like, just please stop talking about it." And I was like, "No, you have to like be open to it." And he's like, "I'm literally telling you, stop talking about this subject. It's not ever going to happen." And then, I got a spreadsheet together and outlined how our age versus like the forecast of retirement and what things could look like versus what they could look like if we stayed. And he's like, "Well, we can talk about it." So now we're here.
Spreadsheets. Good tip.
Yeah. Strategy. I worked in creative strategy. That was my job at Amazon. So, yeah, I'm a good strategist.
Good way of convincing.
Yeah.
So I've read a few questions that I was looking forward to asking you. Of
Yeah.
course, we already know each other a little bit, but it's so fun to chat about these things. The first question hopefully is not like too loaded. We'll see. But so you've already now been in France for a while. You've been building a life, as you said, with a 6-year-old who's been here now for half of her life.
Yeah, yeah. We came here when we visited at 3.5. So yeah,
Soon, next year
yeah,
half.
yeah, yeah.
So my first question was, has France turned out to be what you expected of it? And was it
Yeah.
everything you hoped it would be when you first moved here?
Yeah, I think great question. I mean, I love France. I'm grateful every day to be here. I love it here. It's certainly different than what I envisioned because every time I visited France, it was always Paris. I had been Paris, Nice, Marseille, the Champagne region. I've done kind of the touristy cities around France. But I always envisioned, my love was Paris. And so to end up in Carcassonne, where we hadn't been, I mean, we made a life decision on a 3-week vacation. Um,
Crazy.
and it is different. It's certainly not Paris or a big city. Um, but it's definitely given us a slower life in many ways. I mean, it's certainly very bureaucratic and can be very frustrating. And so those moments definitely show up. They showed up this morning. Sonia has a dairy allergy, and so we make her lunch every day. And every year we have to fill out a PAI form. I don't know if you have to do this for your children. It's an allergy. When your child has an allergy, you must fill out a form that goes to the school, and it's good for 1 year. You have to go to your doctor. They fill it out. They always fill it out wrong, and then you have to go back to the doctor and say, no, they want it this way, and the doctor's like, no, I filled it out that way, but my doctor always says it's France. It's better to just not ask questions, do what they want you to do. So he always refills it out and it's the same form and they always approve it. Well, we just did this in June because it came up in June for the summer program that we enrolled her in. So her new school for next September called me this morning and they said, we need her PAI form. We emailed it to you. Can you take it to your doctor and fill it out? And I said, yes, absolutely. But we've already done it. And I submitted it to Carcassonne Aglo, which is the city wide place. Oh, it's already done. That's so great. Can you just send it over to us? And so I send it over to them. They're like, oh no, we need our own PAI form for our school. And I was like, it's literally the same thing. It literally is just the doctor's signature saying that she has a dairy allergy. And they're like, well, no, we understand um, that the process is frustrating and that it is the same form, but we need you to do it for us. And I was like, okay, fine, I'll go do it for you. And they said, they're like, it's just French administration. I was like, it's you. Like you are the problem.
Yeah.
The call's coming from inside the house. But anyway, those are the moments of like, I think I've started to cross over where I just don't care. Just tell me what you want and I'll go do it because it's easier than arguing.
Yeah.
Um, I've learned to calm down, I think probably my personality. I've learned to talk maybe a bit quieter in public spaces. I'm not the loud American anymore. Um, and I I will say um, I thought moving to France would immerse me in French a lot more. And now I'm looking at ways to like find ways to immerse myself in the country that I thought would immerse me in French. Because there's so many Americans that have moved here. And I hate to say it, I joke with even the Americans that moved here. I'm like, Stop moving here. It's enough already because it's becoming little Americas in these little pockets around France, I feel like. And it's so easy to talk English all day long.
Yeah.
My French is good, um, but so those are moments where I think things change my perspective of like how I integrated to France more. I certainly think it helps having a child as well, because she introduces us to the French side of life more that we probably wouldn't have if it was just Yuri and I. It's easy to run in the expat community or the immigrant community here and
Yeah.
talk English and live your life. So
Yeah, I think that's true of any place you would become an expat, actually.
Yeah,
You
for sure.
always manage to find your community. And I have French friends living in the US. They don't speak great English, and they're around a lot of French people.
Yeah,
So the opposite is true as well.
yeah. People find their people, and communication can be cumbersome. And for the French people here in France, we are not a it's not a language test. So like getting together with them socially, they're not there to teach me French. And so you don't always get a seat at the
Would you
table.
say was that something that surprised you? Would you say that you thought maybe you would be making more French friends, or is it something you kind of expected?
I expected it. I had done my research, so I knew that French people, once you're in with them, you're in with them for life. But I knew that like getting in with them is the hard part. Now I think of course, at first it's hard, but we dropped Sonia off at school 2 years ago, and all the parents are like, "Who are these two dads?" We're the only two dads in Carcassonne. So, one, it's like, who are these Americans? Who are these two dads? Now that they've seen us for 2 years, we're in with like the school community of parents. We go to the playground after school, and it's usually a lot of moms that are there, but they integrate us in with them, and they talk to us, and they all love Sonia, and Sonia is very popular. She's very outgoing. And so, we're invited to the birthday parties and all the things. The parents, where's Sonia going to school next year? Oh, we want Sonia to go, our kids should go to school there with Sonia. And this morning I called one of the schools or the school that she's going to, and I said, is it possible that maybe I found out that this other girl is going to school with Sonia and we kind of want to keep them separate? Can you maybe like put them in different say pay classes? um, so yeah, I mean, I think as time goes on, we will continue to like foster and nurture those relationships with French families, but it's not there completely. It's more like playground stuff. Our gym, I will say, because Yuri and I love the gym and we spend a lot of time there. It's very community. It's not like a basic fit. It's more of like this old bodybuilder boxing gym, clunky machines, but it's very community. Everyone bonjours everybody before they even start to work out, and you see each other on the street, and now you're no longer a stranger. You're a part of their little clique. Um, so, and as they learn that, like, oh, he knows French, then they'll start to speak to me. Problem is they speak to me too quickly, and then I don't understand them. So, um, that's my problem is I speak French better than I understand French. Um, and so I get caught up sometimes when I need to remember to slow down my French when I talk to them, kind of dumb myself down a little bit, so that they understand they can't come at me at like a C2 natural speaking level. I won't get it. So
Well, that'll come with time, probably,
yeah, for sure it does.
as you speak to French people. And um, so you touched on it, but I find it fascinating that you went to Carcassonne because, as somebody who knows France since a while, um, well, I won't give you my ideas before you can speak them for yourself
Sure.
if you share those. But I think that if you go into smaller cities, to be honest, I think racism is present. I think everyone is not open to the LGBTQT community. And so I'm super curious
Yeah.
as how you've lived that, and have you ever felt any
Yeah.
resistance?
Yeah.
And yeah.
So no, we've never felt it here. Everyone's been very welcoming. I am very naive when I think about like when we moved here, I was like, it's not going to be a problem. No one's going to care. The French don't care about these things. Yuri was like, no, we need to know all about it. I'm not moving somewhere that's racist and homophobic. And I was like, well, we live in America. So like, you're already there. So the baseline was pretty low. The When we came over to visit, we were talking with people and a local French person, the realtor that got us into this house. And he was like, "Oh, it's not a thing here. People aren't gonna like be up in your business about that. Your lifestyle, your religion, your work, all of that is private conversations. It's not something out in public, but PDA, you just no one likes PDA, whether you're a straight couple or a gay couple, but just like don't do it. Um, and so I think it's very true. The waiter that we had waiting on us at the dinner that night that we were having this conversation was very obviously gay. And so Yuri approached him and like started asking him about it. And I think he was almost offended. Like it was so obvious to us that he was gay and that we would be asking him these questions. But he was like, this is ridiculous. Like, what are you talking about? No, it's not a problem here. Um, that said, you go to the market on Saturdays, and there's always people with signs of like, "Don't sexualize children," and they wear the masks and they hold up signs, and um, it's all in French, so sometimes I don't understand it, and I I mean, I get like, yeah, don't sexualize children. I agree with that, but like, I don't know what you're like, how far you're going with this, and I'm not going to engage with you anyway. Um, I do think that there's definitely racism when it comes to people from Muslim country, Africa, any of the Muslim uh, background religion. And I think that that kind of is the focus of the RN because, our mayor is RN here. Um, but there's a lot of there's more good people than there are, I think, the RN, because, just the way that the way that the election is split up, it was like there was a center right person, a left person, and the right wing, and the center and the left couldn't get together. They both were like vying for their positions, and they split the vote, and so the RN won. And if these two would have got together, the RN wouldn't have won. And so there's more good than there is that, and I think that's just generally worldwide. There's more good people than bad people, but um, getting back to it is I just don't think people care so much. If they do and they're saying things, they're keeping quiet about it, or they've said it, and I just don't understand French enough to know that they just insulted me on the street. I think sometimes people look at us as a family, and they're a little bit more curious,
Yeah.
but no one's ever said anything really. I've been told that there's lesbian moms here. I haven't seen them. But definitely we're the only two dads.
Super interesting. And so would you say that in that sense, is it different from the US? Does it feel different?
Well, I mean, so for us, we lived in San Francisco, Seattle, and Minneapolis. So we were in the most liberal of liberal cities
So
in the
it feels
US.
different maybe in the sense that you're the only 2 dads now,
Yeah,
and that was the case.
yeah, I mean, we definitely know other gay people and gay couples that are here. And so it feels different because we do want Sonia to see families that look like ours. It's very easy in America to go into a classroom and be like, "Oh, here's a book about two dads. So when you're reading about a mom and a dad, could you please also remind the classroom that families look different?" Here, you would never go into a classroom and tell the teacher, "Well, Sonia has two dads, so could you please like remind the student?" Because they'd be like, we don't talk about those things." Like
Yeah.
it's so just 1980s mom and dad, and that's the end of it. And but Sonia doesn't care. We are curious how things will shift next year because we are sending her to private Catholic school, and they have assured us that it's not a thing and they don't care. And but I guess we'll see because I know now that she's getting to an age where she is understanding that her skin is darker than other people, our family looks different. Will kids start to tease? Probably, I don't know. But we talk about it all the time. We talk about families looking different. And so that's the thing is like in the States, it was much easier for her to see families that look like ours. And in France, that's just not really, there's not a lot of two dads in general in France.
Yes.
Um,
Agreed, even in
it's-
Paris.
yeah, it's just not really a thing that's caught on here in terms of like LGBT adoption. Uh,
Yeah, it's much more complicated too, I think.
yeah.
Um, you would have to pretty much go abroad, and I mean, I don't know all the details,
I don't
but
know either.
yeah, you can't do it easily here either, which probably
Yeah,
is a factor.
yeah. But yeah, I think it feels good. We do want Sonia to recognize that all families look different, so we just talk about it instead. And that's that. We asked her what adoption means, and she just wants to play with her beads and color and watch her iPad. So she doesn't care really. I would say
Yeah.
that.
Well, probably those are also questions that can come later on.
Yeah.
Um,
And she talks to her mom and her biological sister and brother all the time. So it's not a secret that this other family exists out there. Um, so yeah.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Um, so on just last question on the whole parenting thing.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to know if there are other things that surprise you about raising a kid here.
Um, Maybe just I think it's just all the complications with school. And just like all the administrative things, the way how seriously they take. I mean, they will call us in the afternoon if they're having cake for a birthday party and ask us if Sonia can have cake because they will take absolutely no responsibility, regardless of if the form says just don't feed her butter and ice cream. She can have like anything that's cooked and baked and whatnot, no slices of cheese. Oh, can she have bread? We're like, well, yeah, of course she can have bread. Like, um, I, but otherwise, not so much. Well, I will say, one noticeable thing is kids can pretty much go everywhere here, which is definitely different than the US. Every time we're invited to a house party, a gathering, Sonia is we don't have to ask if Sonia. I mean, we ask because we just our American brain is still there, but they're like, well, of course she's coming, and it's just expected. We don't have to get a babysitter for her. If we choose to get a babysitter, it's something that we have to actually choose because we just want to be alone for the night. Um, but kids are just they just come and it's expected. I think there's just the way that the French raise children and kind of community rally around children. Sonia's like a little social diva at parties, and we don't even pay attention to her at parties. She's off like talking to people, and people are buying her gifts. We went to we got invited to dinner last night, and the people bought her a puzzle and coloring book. And didn't buy me anything except for dinner. um but yeah, I mean, they just expect that kids are coming and that kids are on good behavior and they're not touching things. And we teach Sonia to be on her best behavior when she's at places. There's also the same respect that comes with adulting, walking into places and saying bonjour and au revoir. Sonia does that at our house. And that's something that I learned because I read the book, Bringing Up Baby.
Mhm.
Um, and just the general respect of if she's in her bedroom coloring and someone comes over to her home, she comes out of her bedroom and she dit
Great.
bonjour to everyone, and then she goes back into her room or she comes and hangs out with us. And that's just normal behavior for children here, whereas in America, that's not normal behavior. um, so I don't want to say that, all parents don't make their kids have manners, but um, here I think it's a big focus of making sure that people recognize other human beings are present in the room. So we say hello to them and goodbye to them and care
Yeah.
about the people that are in our space.
And I think the fact that kids are also welcome in a lot of different situations where you might be visiting elder people who don't have children themselves and things like that, it just is always an opportunity to share the etiquette rules. And it's kind of, I think, like here, raising your kids to have good manners is like an ongoing task,
Mhm.
and it's maybe less of a like one-off thing, where you're like, okay, now we're going to grandma's house and we need to be really well behaved. Here it's kind of like, yeah, every day whatever we're doing, like you have to walk into the shop and say bonjour. And
Yeah.
so it might actually make things easier in a way.
I think when we first moved here, Place Carnot is like the center of the Bastide area, and so when you would run around the fountain area, and she'd be loud and screaming and tumbling around and talking to other little kids and whatnot, and we'd have to be like, Sonia, you have to keep it quiet. Now we don't ever have to tell her to be quiet. She's off running. Sometimes we have to like look, where the hell is she? She's so quiet, and she's off just playing, or she's sitting at the table just watching her iPad. I mean, occasionally she'll be like, "When are we going to go? It's so hot." But for the most part, she's a lot quieter. Um, I notice it more when my American friends come to France now, how loud Americans are. Um, because we'll be sitting there talking. I'd be like, "Oh my God, like the conversation's leaving our table." And so, um, that's the reminders of like some of the differences of like how we've settled into life over here. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. It sounds like you guys just adjusted without a lot of resistance.
Yeah, I think we were just really open to it. We were open to seeing where this would go. For the longest time, Yuri was like, "Can you believe that we moved to France?" And I was like, "Of course, yeah." Like he was more like, "I can't believe all of this," and I just went with it. Um, I've lived all over the US, and I don't come from a very close family. So I didn't feel like I had attachments in the US. Lots of friends, but they were all over the place. And so I was always traveling to see people. So I didn't feel like I was leaving much behind in that aspect, because I'd always left things behind, and I was always just keeping up my friendships. Um, you know, phone, FaceTime, emails, whatever, Facebook. Um, so yeah, I think just embracing it and going with it was just a part of like the natural thing of moving to France. It was like moving from San Francisco to Seattle to jumping jobs. I don't know. Sometimes I joke I have a black heart. I don't get too attached to things and people and stuff and all of that. I just go to the next thing. So yeah,
So cool. Um, so I wanted to ask you some questions about early retirement because I've had a couple myself, and it's so interesting.
yeah.
So my main question do you think early retirement in France is realistically achievable for ordinary Americans, or does it require? Obviously, it requires a lot of planning, and you've talked about this a lot before. But does it require a certain level of assets to begin with?
Yeah, I so growing up, I would definitely did not have a lot of money. Financially, I was certainly not set up for my future by any means. But I think in our situation, we made some really smart choices along the way that made it easier for us. And so I think coming from like a place like Iowa, Missouri, and either like the Midwest states, it might be difficult because salaries are not as high as they are in a place like San Francisco and Seattle, where I was able to, growing up, I was a saver all the time. And so when I was making more money, I was probably spending more money as well, but I was also saving. And we'd go out with people, and they'd, want to, especially in San Francisco and working at Amazon, people are throwing money around all the time. And I was not. And so when they were like, "Oh, you can afford that bottle of wine," I was like, just because I can doesn't mean I'm going to. And so I'd save it. And they were always like, "Oh, Rich is so frugal. He's so frugal." I am very frugal, but
You've always been French, actually.
yeah, but like I retired at 49 and they're still working. So and I just joked with my friend last night who just moved here. Um, I said, "I can't imagine a world where I would ever go back to America and work. Like work sounds terrible to me. I don't want to do that." And it just seems like I mean, having a job and having something that you're passionate about, sure, but like devoting like 10 hours and overtime to some corporate entity sounds terrible to me now. Um, but so we saved, we bought a house and then we sold a house, and then not everything was the COVID times where we were able to sell a house in a very inflated arena and make some money and make this all come to fruition. I didn't have student loan debt. I was able to pay off things. So I don't know that it's achievable for everyone because I guess it's just so different, but I should say it is achievable for everyone depending on what your situation is and what you wanna do. I think people will more quickly talk themselves out of why they can't do it than accept the reasons that they could, but it just seems a little bit scary. Because I we live on a tight budget. Our budget is like 2,000 euros a month. That's what we live on for a family of 3, and that's literally everything, with extras. And in America, it was 5 times that. So that's a mental shift, and so people have to think like, "Can I afford to live differently?" You can because it is cheaper to live here, of course, and while being mindful of what affordable to us is not affordable to my neighbor who doesn't make a lot and will never see that type of money and is on a tight budget. A packet of hamburger to me is cheaper than a packet of hamburger to them. So I try to be mindful of those things, especially for Americans that come over here to remember that the people around you are not making the salaries that we did to live so comfortably over here. Um, but if you want to come over and get start your own job, if you want to work remotely, there are ways to do that. There's visas for all sorts of different situations. I think especially for young people and students, I would highly recommend taking that leap. And parents encouraging their children to go and do that. I say that now when Sonia's 6. Now when she's 18, I may be like, please don't leave me ever. Don't go so far away. But I do, you know, I think we often are the ones that are getting in our own ways.
Mhm.
Um, and we moved here in 6 months. So, that's selling a house, selling our cars, giving up our entire 49 years of life of stuff, and just saying like France is going to be the new norm for us. And it worked out really well for us. And it doesn't work out really well for everybody. And some people, I know a couple that moved over to France and they're moving back to America next year. They're just like finishing out the year. But they discovered France wasn't for them. Um, and so I think you have to be prepared for what's after you get here. Getting here and getting your visa and all of those things, I find that to be the easy part. Budgeting, of course, you have to have certain levels of money for different visa types, and so everybody has to decide kind of where they live in that visa structure to get themselves over here. Um, but the hard part's really once you get over here, all the bureaucracy and the administrative and all of that.
Mhm.
So I don't know if that answers the question really.
Yeah, totally, and it makes me think also of something that I always notice, which is kind of a detail, but the relationship that we have as Americans living in the US to travel is very, very different to the relationship that you have if you're living in Europe
Mhm,
to travel. Um, in the sense that I don't think people here jump on a plane as easily as you do in
no.
the US.
Mhm,
I think when you're doing when you're flying from New York to Paris, where in the US it can be like, yeah, short flight, whatever.
yeah.
Here it's like, no, 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 I'm going on like international travel. I need to pack my bags and, it's
Yeah.
kind of a big deal.
Yeah.
Um, and people do travel by train here as well, but I think there's a less casual approach to travel altogether,
Yeah.
and people are definitely traveling less frequently and less, like, on a whim as we would, I would say,
Yeah.
in the US,
Yeah.
and I think that's something that's important to have in mind because if you're thinking of moving here, I like the way you approach it, where it seems like you're not saying, like, "Oh, we're going back to the US 3 times a year," and because I don't think yeah, if you're doing early retirement and you wanna be a little bit savvy with your budget, that honestly wouldn't really fit into the budget in the first
Yeah.
place.
Yeah, you do have to think about that. I mean, Yuri was very much like, we need to have a budget to go back to the US. Now he's like, we're never going back to the US. I mean, we're certainly not going back during this presidency.
Yeah, well, that might change
Um,
in 4 year
yeah,
3
so we'll reassess at some point. But I think Yeah, travel is different over here. It's certainly different for us. When we lived in the States and thinking about coming over to Europe, you think like, oh, once you're in Europe, you can go here and there, and everything's connected by the train, and it's just easy to hop and go. But then we get here and we're raising a 6-year-old, and it's Tuesday and I'm doing laundry and I'm running errands and going grocery shopping, etc. So um travel is like special for us is like on Sunday, hopefully I think we're going to go to the beach. And it's an hour away, and that's like travel for us now.
Yeah.
um Coming to Paris is Yuri's going to Barcelona next week on a solo trip. I take my solo trips to Paris usually. um so we find ways to like do things affordably because we can do them alone. And then like in November, we want to take Sonia to Euro Disney. So that will be more like a family trip. So yeah, I think it's just rethinking how we are spending money, because in America, it's very easy when you maybe have a little bit more to spend a little bit more or be a little bit more like, we're just going to go do that.
Hmm.
Here, definitely, I think families have to think more of like a trip to Disney is an expense.
Yeah, and it might be
So,
something that you do once or
yeah,
twice.
yeah, 100%. Sonia knows going to Disney is a big deal. Whereas like growing up for me, Yuri lived in Los Angeles and San Diego. He was a Disney kid. I've been to Disneyland and Disney World and Epcot and all the amusement parks and all of that. Um, but yeah, I don't, Sonia's, but then the flip side of it, people are like, oh my God, Sonia gets to see Paris. But yeah, she does get to see Paris, but we live in France. So it's kind of like not the way that you would think of it if we lived in Minneapolis. I'm thinking like Sonia gets to see Paris. Like, how cool is that for her? But like living here, it's kind of like, oh, it's just another day. Like Paris is just 5 hours north. And like, yeah, she sees it, but it's France. So it's normal to her as like going to New York and seeing the Statue of Liberty. It's like
Yeah,
kind of just not a big deal.
yeah,
Um, but it is. I don't. It's weird to say that. I don't want. I want to be mindful of like she's very lucky and we're very lucky. And I'm super happy that she gets to experience this life. But for the people that think it's all just like lavender fields, um, it's like seeing the Statue of Liberty. It's like, well, there it is.
yeah.
So yeah.
So interesting. Um, you're leaving me speechless.
I can keep talking. I have many things that I could talk about. I don't know.
Actually, I did have that one question. Since we're talking about Paris,
Yeah.
you did say to me
Oh,
when we first met that if money were no object, maybe you would have chose to live in Paris.
a
Can
thousand
you
percent.
tell us a bit about that?
Oh gosh, I talk about it all the time. Yuri's like, what if I just got Yuri's working on his EU passport because he found out that his great grandpa is was from Lithuania, and there's a chance that he can get the EU passport through that. So he's
Um,
he's like knee deep in getting his EU passport. He's like, if I get that, I can get a job. And I was like, why are you so hung up on getting a job? Like, wow. Um,
Perfect.
yeah.
Having
And
the same
so
motive.
yeah, he wants that. And so he's like, well, if I got a job, could we like go to Paris? And I was like, we can go to Paris. Like Sonia and I'll have a great life in Paris. You're gonna be working all the time, but I'm gonna be like enjoying life. Because I would go to Paris tomorrow. Um, I so when we moved here to Carcassonne, Yuri said, "I'll go and I'll see what it's like, and if I'm okay with Carcassonne during the trip, we'll move there. If I'm not, we won't." We got here, and what we discovered that we liked about Carcassonne, and I promise this comes back to Paris, is that um, it was very walkable. It's small. Above our apartment, if we go downstairs, there's a burger joint, a taco joint, a little epicerie. And for us, we had when we left San Francisco and moved to Seattle, we were living out in the burbs. When we moved to Minneapolis, we were living in the burbs. And we hadn't really realized that we had become suburbanites and we missed living in the city. But it just didn't seem practical raising a child in the city for some reason to us. And which is why we originally wanted to leave San Francisco because we wanted to adopt. We didn't want to adopt her in San Francisco. Um, and so Yuri's like, "Oh, I love this. Like, it feels like we're kind of like in a mini San Francisco, like very mini San Francisco." Um, but then there's like Paris, where every time I would land in Paris, it felt like everything is just right. Like it's just a grander version of like you can walk everywhere. There's stores downstairs. There's all this multicultural, diverse, so many like opportunities. And so for me, I love the idea of like Sonia growing up in like or having access to all of that. Um, and then we think about like a big city. We think like, oh, would we move to like Toulouse? And I think we'll stay in Carcassonne because it's affordable. We love our home. We can get to all the places that we want to go to so easily. The train's like 4 minutes behind me, walking. Um, and maybe Sonia, we're encouraging Sonia, of course, to grow up and get the heck out of Carcassonne and go somewhere else. And maybe we'll follow her later. And God willing, the stock market doesn't crash and our money will grow over the years and we can maybe afford at a later date to go to a bigger city. But right now it's just not in the budget. But I think that's the biggest thing is just like art, culture, diversity, access to more things. We want Sonia to have it all. Carcassonne has been really great because she is a fluent little French girl now. She speaks we saw the teacher yesterday for the year-end like recap of her grades and whatnot. And the teacher rated her perfect in every category. Even we were even shocked too, because we know that the French don't just hand out perfects. And she said she's like, Sonia's a perfect little French girl. And she said
Oh,
she's just like if she was born here and she speaks fluent. She did say she's like, now when Sonia first arrived here, she was over here and over there, talk, 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 and she's like, but now Sonia is like very focused, very well mannered. She picks up, she helps other people. She knows all of her letters, her numbers, her the days of the week, the calendar. And she said, next year will be a different ball game for her. But if she continues on the trajectory she's at, maybe you'll want to push her into more advanced learning because we do think that sometimes she gets a little bit bored. So a good problem, I guess. But
mhm.
we'll see what comes with CP and homework and all of that. But yeah, I mean, maybe someday we hope someday she'll go off and see the world. And I guess for us, it's just our job to keep her aware that the world's a big place and provide as much opportunity for her as we can. And I think that France being a part of the EU and all of that, Portugal, Spain, all of it's right. Italy, it's all right here, and so we hope she goes and learns other languages and does other things. So stay out of the United States, hopefully. But 18 years from now, who knows? Maybe it'll
Yeah,
be a better place.
it might be different by then.
Yeah,
Um, and the last question I had for today is one of our readers asked a couple of questions.
yeah,
One of which was about, are there any other places you would live in the south of France? So you just mentioned Toulouse.
yeah. Um, you know, when we talk about if we were to move somewhere, it's always been Toulouse, Montpellier, maybe Narbonne. Um, I like the idea of Perpignan because it's like right by Narbonne and it's affordable, but I think it probably faces some of the problems Carcassonne faces in terms of a poor community, not as well kept up, but it does have some Spanish influence, which I like. That there's a little multicultural between Spain and France there because it's almost on the border. Um, I loved Nice, and but I mean, who doesn't? I guess I shouldn't say who doesn't love Nice because I'm sure there are people that don't love Nice, but it's beautiful. Um, I think I do need to travel more. I for sure would never live in Marseille. I don't like Marseille.
Really?
It's not for me.
French
I
people love Marseille, especially Parisians.
Oh really?
Yes, a lot of them are
Ugh,
like, as soon as I can, I'm gonna go live in Marseille. It's my favorite place in the world. Like, just the
ugh,
best because it has the big city feel that can sometimes feel a little bit like Paris, where there are a few, like, larger companies,
Yeah.
you could probably find work, and at the same time, like, you could
Well,
go to the beach after your workday, and
yeah, I
that's
guess
kind of the
so.
dream for a lot of Parisians.
Oh, I find it so dirty and stinky and wow, I don't know. But I mean, I guess one could argue there are dirty, stinky parts of Paris too.
Oh, there are many.
So yeah, so I mean, yeah, Marseille just isn't my jam personally. Um, but I mean, I'll certainly go there to visit.
Yeah, no, it's super interesting, though.
And I've been there. I mean, I had to go there to renew Sonia's passport. So um, it's probably the nearest big city and somewhere we will
Yeah.
have to go with the U.S. embassy being there.
Yeah. Well, you could always combine it with a trip to Paris, because we
I
have the
w-
U.S. Embassy
yes,
too.
I mean, I always Paris, always Paris. So, um, yeah, I think we're when we come in November to Euro Disney, we're going to spend a few days in Paris, and so you'll probably get to meet Sonia then.
Yay!
So one time I'll bring you
Have
and
a big,
Sonia.
kids reunion.
Yes. I prefer to do Paris on my own and just have my own me time with all my like friends that I've met through Substack. But I can't always just like gatekeep Paris for myself. So
Traveling with kids is just another level. I think
it
any parent
is.
would rather travel alone.
It really
I mean,
is.
depends on the purpose of your trip, obviously. We love
Yeah.
our kids, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard.
100%. It is difficult. It's a lot to I mean, with Sonia, it's getting better now. This morning she said to me, I was talking to her on the way to school about, uh, it's a big deal. You're graduating out of maternal, and what a big girl you are now, and like you should be so excited about all of your accomplishments. And do you remember when you came here, you didn't speak any French at all, and now you speak like all the other French children. And she said, "Yeah, but you don't speak French." And I said, "Well, of course I speak French. You heard me on the phone speaking French to the dentist this morning." And she's like, "Well, it wasn't very good." And I was like, "Oh, that's how we're gonna like it's already started, like the
That's a little
corrections
hurtful.
because yeah, I mean, she doesn't like to speak French in front of us because we are now utilizing her more to like speak and translate for us. And we have to manipulate her into like, if you do this for us, we'll like get you a treat. We'll like let you watch the iPad if you like help me out with this. When we went to the eye doctor a few weeks ago, I said, you need to speak to the doctor in French. And she's, okay, okay. And she sits down, keeps looking at me the entire time. And I said, if you keep looking at me, I'm going to leave the room and you'll be in here all by yourself. I said, so you turn and you speak to the doctor in French right now. And she did, and then the whole conversation went in French from that moment on. And then anytime I got hung up on what the doctor was saying, I would look at Sonia, and Sonia would be like, "She asked you," and then I would like speak back to the doctor then. And so soon she'll be making the electricity phone calls, the internet phone calls, setting up all the doctor appointments for me. So
Good. She'll be confronted with adult problems.
yes.
I don't know if
Mm,
Violet is still here, but thanks for joining.
mm. The mega nightmare, yes. Yeah, I think, I wrote a little bit about this today, just the amped up culture in America. Um, it's tough right now. I have not realized this is another part, I guess, going back earlier when you asked me about living here, is I haven't realized how over time naturally my body has calmed down. I've made mindful decisions in some ways, and in other ways, it's like learning French. Sometimes it just starts coming at you, and you don't realize what you're retaining until you need to use it. And as I was sick and scrolling TikTok, I was seeing all these videos that you see of like all the Karens and Chads in America that are freaking out and filming everything, and people hanging out of people's cars and throwing food at people. I thought, my God, you just don't see that over here in the way that you see it in America. And people are so amped up and when you have a leadership and a MAGA movement of just encouraging this behavior, because division creates power
Yep.
and power struggle. And the news, of course, loves it because the more they pump it out, the more angst people have and they want to read about it. And oh my God, can you believe this and that? We're just outraged all the time.
Yep.
And I started realizing as I was like paying attention to what I was, because of course I've seen that over the past 2 years, but as I was like laying in bed sick, I was like, huh, I don't really see that so much over here. And then I started recognizing how my body has calmed down the way that when I was in America, it felt so next door all the time. And my nervous system, Yuri and I always were like on edge, like this could happen. We could wake up to like a word derogatory on our door, or the neighbor might put a Trump sign in their yard, and like everything is right there, and it feels heavy all the time because you don't know who's like when Pete Buttigieg's husband and him, they had their CPS called on them, and he got separated from his children.
Yeah.
America is just another day. Like your family can be destroyed with one phone call,
Yeah.
and so I'm glad to have been removed from that, and I don't know what that feels like anymore, other than when I see it online and I think, God, that's just so awful.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
so
I mean, it's the downside of a lot of upsides that you have in the States too, that's like on on paper, maybe more freedom,
mhm.
more ability to, get rich fast because you can many more ways than here where there's a lot of taxes and then there's taxes
Wow.
on taxes. And but yeah, I think the trade-off is definitely pretty taxing for the bottom
Yeah.
line.
And it's not to say that these things don't exist over here. Of course, there's racism, homophobia in France and everywhere in the world. But you just don't experience it. Not everyone holding their phone in your face all the time,
Mhm.
recording every move that you make. But like you said, also, I was seeing pride celebrations this past week in all the cities. And you see the coming together of a collective of good people that are, and they're where that's the resistance. And pride, I think, is getting back to not being as much as it is still a celebration, it's becoming more a riot again. And they're trying to remember that pride started as a riot, and we don't need you, Target and all these other companies, funneling money in when you're also giving money to Trump. Um, so we will resist in all forms. And so I applaud those movements. Sometimes they feel a little like it's not going anywhere because there's just so much media, um, and Trump just doesn't care. I mean, you can march on the street on Saturday. It doesn't matter if it's the biggest march in the entire world for the rest of humankind. Trump is like, I don't care about that.
Yeah,
So,
he'll do something else to distract everyone.
yeah. So, um, yeah, it's it's challenging times all over. I mean, the RN coming, we have an RN mayor here, like I said, and it's nowhere near the MAGA movement by any means, but he was spraying people off. He was standing on a balcony with a hose during the heat wave and spraying people down below. And I saw it on video and I was like, this is so reminiscent of Trump throwing paper towel into the Puerto Ricans. And I was like, just like let them eat cake. As he
Mm.
just like hose them down. I was like, you're so vapid right now. What are you doing? Um,
Yeah, we have presidential elections next year here too, and there's
yeah,
a that the RN, I mean, a big chance they
yeah,
could pass, and they've been doing everything to pass, so we'll see how that goes. But
yeah,
I just wanted to quickly finish up the because we had
yeah.
this question on I think also access to more natural medicine and things like that. I don't know if that's something that you look into, Rich, at all.
No, so when we first moved here, I was like, for the love of God, if they give me one more homeopathic thing for my throat or like Sonia or nose or whatever, I was like, just give me NyQuil, like just give me the hard drugs, please. um, Now there's something angigel, or do you know what I'm talking about? It's something that like relieves bruises.
The
Uh,
arnica, no,
arnica gel. That stuff is amazing.
they even put it
Um,
on in school when the kids hurt
do
themselves, right? They
do
probably
they?
do the same.
My dog scratched me on my inner arm, which left a ginormous bruise. And every day I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna rub it out and rub it." And that thing went away so quickly, I couldn't believe it. Um, for the most part, I just want like my Dayquil, my NyQuil, my Sudafed. I have a whole closet stocked full of it. But I did find it funny because a couple weeks ago, I had thrown out my lower back and I went to the doctor. And he gave me some like opium pill or something and like all these drugs that made me like super sick to my stomach. So I like quit taking them. Um, so sometimes I feel like they freely give out drugs, but I don't really, the homeopathic stuff, I don't subscribe to it so much. Yuri will, I mean, we have like the little, what is it? The royal jelly and the glass tubes that you like crack
Hmm.
the ends off of it. Um, and so we have that. Um, I have some scent things like you crack them open and you pour it in and then you like breathe it in
Yes.
and it like, I don't know what is in that, but
Essential
it's like,
oils, I would think, no?
yeah, it like burns your nose out. Like it for sure clears your nostrils. No doubt about it. I don't know what's in it. It's like gasoline, but this smells like lavender. Um, so yes, there's a ton of homeopathic, and I feel like the pharmacy will push you towards the homeopathic first as your first
True.
line of defense.
Yeah.
Um, and it wasn't until I started begging them to just give me the hardcore stuff. Um, but then they're like, you gotta go to the doctor for that.
Yes,
Um,
exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Usually, if you're like really sick, here you would just go to the doctor. Also, because it doesn't cost anything, or
yeah,
not much, or it's
yeah,
included in whatever you're paying for your social security, and so you don't think twice. You just
yeah. I mean, to go to the doctor without Carpital, I think was like 30 euros. With the Carpital, it's like 12 euros, and then with my Mutual, I get the 12 euros back.
right?
So
Yeah,
it's like really
0.
nothing. But yeah, I mean, I pay for the Mutual, so
So might as well go
but
to the doctor for
yeah,
free.
of course. Yeah, I might as well go to the doctor anytime I need to go to the doctor. I said to Yuri, "Oh, we have to go back and fill out this PAI form." But now I don't think about it the way that in America, if I go to the doctor, it's $60 to walk in the door.
Yeah. You know
Just to say,
that, for in parentheses, the French doctor, if you call him up, he will, like, fill you out another paper without having to go back.
oh, I should
I
probably
do
just
that all the
contact
time
him.
with my kids. I'll be like, "Hey, I forgot whatever to ask you for this swimming
Yeah.
certificate or whatever,"
Yeah.
and she'll just put it on the, like, board in the entrance, and she's like,
Oh,
"Okay, it's ready, just come pick it up."
oh, yeah,
So you don't have to go through the whole ordeal
yeah,
again. Maybe yours will do
yeah,
that too. I don't know.
yeah. It's worth a try.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you really just
So,
need that, so
yeah, we've been really lucky. We have an excellent doctor. He speaks perfect English,
that's
um,
good.
which
That's
has been really
rare.
helpful. And I now have a dentist that speaks perfect English. So, um, yeah,
That's
that's
awesome. And,
yeah, that's
just on, like, more acupuncture and naturopaths and things like that, if that's what I
mhm,
think the question was also geared toward, um,
yeah.
I don't know, I assume you must have some in Carcassonne?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't had acupuncture done here. I definitely have access to like massage therapy
Mhm.
and chiropractor.
Yes.
I have a good massage therapist slash chiropractor. And with my mutual, I get to see him 3 or 4 times a year for 30 euros.
Yeah.
So
Usually
for an
it's 3
hour.
times, I think, but
Yeah. And so that's been really great. And we walk out with, he does what are the oh my gosh, the marks on your skin,
the
the
cupping?
cupping. Yes, he does the cupping. I hadn't had that done until I was over here, and I came home, and Yuri's like, "What the hell is wrong with your back?" But I love it. So yeah, we do. All that to say is like, yes, we do have access to those things in Carcassonne. I think sometimes it can be more challenging when you need a specialist. We'll wait a little bit longer. We have to go to Toulouse for Sonia to see ear, nose, and throat doctor. Um, but I have to. Um, to go and like see for like colonoscopies and stuff like that. There's doctors here in Carcassonne, so luckily that can all be handled here. I don't have to travel for those things. Um, so yeah, I don't know. But then if you want to see like a dermatologist, you might wait a year. So
Yeah, yeah, you have to make your appointments early.
yeah. So that I would say, like for any American, wherever you're moving, know if you're moving to a medical desert and check with the community that of where you might be moving. What does the doctor situation look like for you based on, what your physical health is like, uh, time that you move.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah. But in Paris, I'm sure it's no big deal.
I mean, in Paris, yeah, you like my dermatologist is like really loved and she's really good. You have
Yeah.
to wait like several months. And then what I hate, and I see this a lot with French doctors, by the way, you could be waiting for an hour and a half in the waiting room.
Oh yeah.
Um, and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. There was just this emergency. I saw this patient and I really had to do it right away and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Great. Yeah, you're a great doctor, but like I just wasted an hour
Yeah.
and a half of my life."
Yeah. Our
So,
doctor came out one day to the waiting room and he said, "I'll be right back." And he went outside and had a cigarette.
yeah, because
And
that's urgent.
yeah, like he went and had a cigarette while everyone waited for him. And then he came back in and it was my turn and I got to go see him. Um, so yeah, I mean, that's just how it is. And
Yeah. You just
yeah,
have
but I
to
mean, I
accept
wouldn't
it.
get, if I was going to get Botox, I would not do it in Carcassonne. I would, excuse me. I will travel to Paris for Botox. So,
Agreed.
anyway, yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Well, I could talk forever. So I don't know. I know
Well,
we're at
how
the
about
hour.
if anyone, thank you everyone for joining.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hopefully you enjoyed the conversation. If you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the chat. Um, I'm running out of battery, so if I disappear at any time, it's because I'm out of battery. But
Are
yeah,
your kids are probably getting ready to be out of school within the hour or?
yes, but I arranged something, so I'm not
Oh, okay.
too big of a rush
Okay.
today. But
All right.
yeah, it's almost school's
Oh,
almost out,
good.
so
Yeah. Are your kids going to be in? Now we're just having a conversation together. Are your kids going to be? If anyone has any questions, just yeah, put them in there as we chit chat here. Are your kids going to summer activities, or will they be home with you?
so I'm super lucky because I married a French man, who has French parents who live in
Okay,
France,
okay,
and we have put them in the, French centre de loisirs before during the summer break, which honestly was awesome, but there were quite a few scandals here,
yeah,
about that, and so it's become like a harder decision, and they're also older now, so they can tolerate being away from us for the night. So they're spending a few weeks with their grandparents,
have fun.
and then we'll
And what
all go
luck
on
for you?
vacation together in August.
Yeah. It is weird because I have had that conversation based on the recent events that have taken place. I've told Sonia, like, I need to know if someone ever touches you, if someone ever hits you, um, if they tell you not to tell us, you need to still tell us. Like, you'll never be in trouble. No one's ever going to hurt daddy and papa, even if they say they're going to hurt us if you tell us. Um, so now, yeah, I mean, so
Yeah, we
yeah,
had that
bad things.
conversation too.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
It's a weird
just
thing to have like have a conversation with your kids about this because you would think adults should be like better, but no,
yeah, it's really
it's
sad. It's just I don't know.
yeah,
I
it's
don't
the
know
times
that
we
it's
live in.
worse than anywhere else. I just maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I actually have no idea,
Yeah,
but it's just really gross.
I told Sonia I'm going to be following her to school for the rest of her life, and she said, "No, you are not." I said, "Yes, I will be. I'll be like a block behind you, but I will see you into the front door." Um, so yeah. Anyway, all right. I
Yeah,
think
we
no
have
one
no
has
questions.
questions. We
So
have
I
no
guess we
questions.
answered everything.
Yeah. We fulfilled our duty here. Our jobs are done. You can
Great
always
job.
email both of us afterwards. So,
Yeah, we're always available. We love
yeah.
chatting.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm an open book. So,
so
all
thank you
right.
everyone, and if you enjoyed it,
Yeah.
we can definitely do this again, Rich. It was a
Yeah.
lot
I
of
would love to. My goodness. I would
um
absolutely love to.
And yeah, have a
Okay.
wonderful day for anyone who's starting their
Yeah.
morning with us. Thank you.
Wherever you come from, afternoon or morning or evening, enjoy the rest of your day, whatever that looks like for you.
Yeah. And
All right.
afternoon if you're in France.
Yeah. All
Thank you,
right.
everyone.
See you later.
Thank you, Rich.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.